Hey everyone, VenisonHeadquarters.com here presenting to you how to make venison kielbasa, also known as venison Polish sausage or venison summer sausage. Kielbasa is a food that can be enjoyed by anyone, and its origins actually date back to 589 BC. Known commonly as sausage to many, this popular item can often take traditionally inedible and unappealing foods and make them edible through processing of natural ingredients. Made from these natural products, such as casings, fats, and spices, kielbasa continues to be enjoyed by individuals all over the world every day. The process of making venison sausage or kielbasa or summer sausage is a straightforward process and can be done using basic equipment and commonly found ingredients. When following your favorite venison kielbasa recipe, be sure you're using clean and sterile processing equipment as well as fresh ingredients. It is best to process the kielbasa or the sausage when both the equipment and the ingredients are cold or chilled, as some game meats like venison tend to be much denser with connective tissue, which makes processing more difficult. In fact, one general rule of thumb to use when you're processing venison kielbasa is to keep your meat slightly frozen prior to grinding it in your meat grinder, in addition to adding 30 to 70% more fat to the recipe with either pork or beef additions. In any event, today we're going to talk about how to make venison kielbasa and the equipment needed and how it's done. So let's get on with it. So equipment needed. First thing we're going to need is a venison meat grinder or a sausage tying machine. The second thing we're going to need is your favorite venison recipe or venison cookbook. And the third thing you're going to need are the venison marinades, the venison seasonings, and the different types of meats that you're going to combine in with the venison. So you'll need your venison meat in addition to your pork or your beef, depending on the fat content and what is available at the time to you. Again, we're going to need venison meat. We'll need the venison marinade, seasoning, spices, and your mix-ins such as pork or beef, as well as the casings. So the first step we want to do is to season and spice your deer meat. And this is where you can get creative with your recipes and your spices and marinades. So just experiment with different spices and marinades, different recipes, making sure you let your meat marinate in liquid marinades for several days. To prevent spoiling, make sure that you're always refrigerating your marinades, your meats in your marinades, to prevent spoiling. And when using dry mixes, let them baste in the meat overnight in the fridge. In addition, prior to starting to grind your meat, please make sure that you slightly freeze it. It is going to help you tremendously in the grinding process. Otherwise, you may find yourself having to clean the machine several times, which can get pretty involved and can actually be a very big hassle. The next thing you want to do is to grind the venison meat. And to do this, like I said, you want to slightly freeze your meat prior to grinding. It's going to make it very, very easier, very much more simple to do the whole process if it's frozen semi. You're also going to want to make sure that your processing equipment and your utensils are cooled in order to keep the meat cool. And you're going to want to grind your meat with the juices and seasonings inside as you're processing it. So you're going to want to, once it's ground, you're going to want to mix your meat thoroughly when done. We usually do it by hand, but there are some heavy equipment machinery that can do this. And you're going to want to place it back in the fridge to avoid cross-contamination or spoiling. The next thing you want to do is soak your casings in water. So the casings are easily prepared by putting them in a bowl of warm water for at least half an hour. After you've let them soak for a while, you're going to want to run water through each casing and check them for holes. Any part that contains a hole or a leak you're going to want to remove prior to putting them into your sausage tying machine and stuffing them with your pre-made mixture. The next thing you want to do is to fill your casings. So you're going to want to stuff or fill them with your processing equipment, making sure that your equipment is cool at all times. First and foremost, you're going to remove the meat from the fridge and you're going to add it to your cool stuffer. If it's a hand crank that you're using, you're going to want to crank slowly, filling the casing to your desired length. And then once you're finished, you're going to want to tie both ends of the casing and begin your next link. In addition, some people prefer shorter links rather than longer links. So in order to do that, you're going to want to pinch your casings about every 6 inches from the end of the filling in order to maintain that shorter length kielbasa, summer sausage, or Polish sausage. You're going to want to twist your links closest to you several times and continue that every 6 inches to your desired link. So you're going to want to make sure that you alternate the way you twist in order to make sure that your links don't unravel at the end of the process. And to prevent any bursting from happening, place several small needles, holes in each completed link. This is going to prevent catching your kielbasa on fire or prevent it from bursting when you're cooking it on the grill or other methods. Next thing you're going to want to do is store your venison kielbasa, summer sausage, or Polish sausage once you're finished. In order to do that, you want to hang the links over a pan for several hours, making sure that you carefully wrap each of the strands in butcher paper after this has been done for proper storage techniques. You can also use Ziploc bags instead of butcher's paper. We prefer using Ziploc bags, but some people prefer butcher's paper over the plastic bags. In addition, once everything's packaged, you can place them in the freezer for 24 hours prior to cooking. And what that's going to do is it's actually going to make sure that your meat, that any venison parasites, bacteria are killed so that you don't compromise your health or well-being. And if you're not going to enjoy it immediately, keep it in your freezer and pull it out for a later date to be enjoyed. And that pretty much wraps it up for making venison kielbasa, summer sausage, or Polish sausage. The final thing you want to do is just make sure that you enjoy your meat and stay safe in your processing, making sure that your surfaces are clean, your utensils are clean when cooking, when preparing, and getting your meat ready to be ground and put into your links. For other cooking tips and information, visit Venison Headquarters online at VenisonHQ.com. I'm Darren, and I thank you very much for visiting. Take care.